Welcome to the Director's Corner podcast, the definitive resource for forward-thinking professionals in end-of-life care industries. If you're looking to really shake up your digital marketing and connect with families in a way that really matters, well, you're in the right place. We're not just talking about the same old strategies. We're diving deep into creating authoritative content that builds genuine engagement and trust, which is what sets you apart in today's digital landscape.
All right, welcome. Today, our discussion is focused entirely on you, the deathcare professional. We're going to get into a really critical operational shift that's become essential for securing your firm's future in this modern consumer landscape.
And this is so much more than just a marketing discussion.
Yeah.
It's really about an evolution in how the profession has to engage with the community.
An evolution, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, because in an industry that's all about, immediate emotional vulnerability, the real challenge is balancing that sensitivity with visibility.
Mm-hmm.
And the traditional approach, it's just failing. It's failing because today's consumers are more skeptical, they're more informed, and, they're incredibly protective of their space, both emotionally and financially.
So let's unpack that core philosophy then. It's this idea that can be summed up as stop selling, start serving. It's about moving away from purely transactional marketing, where you're just waiting to interact with a family after a death occurs, and instead establishing the firm as, a permanent, respected fixture in the community's life, even when they don't need you.
Right. The goal isn't just to be a vendor when a crisis hits. The goal is to be that indispensable local resource that families already know and, crucially, already trust. It's about demonstrating value over time.
To really get that, I think we first have to analyze the trap so many firms fall into, this idea of crisis-only marketing.
Yeah.
What does that actually look like in practice today?
Well, it's totally reactive. It's waiting for the phone to ring, which, for a long time that worked. But now, when firms try to be proactive, their digital outreach is often just boilerplate sales content. You see it all the time.
Like what?
It's that constant push of, affordable services available 24/7, or these graphics that just say, call us today. Now, those messages aren't wrong, but they are purely transactional. They're asking for business right now.
And that's the disconnect, because the consumer psychology here is just so different from almost any other industry.
Exactly. That's where it gets so interesting. Funeral service is one of the very few industries where the consumer is actively trying not to think about what you offer. It involves mortality, grief, money. So if they see a direct sales pitch, they don't see it as a helpful reminder. They see it as an intrusion.
So that kind of sales-heavy language, even if it's well-intended, it's like knocking really loudly on a door that the community has
Bolted shut.
intentionally.
Yes, bolted shut. You're forcing them to confront something difficult before they're ready, and they just retreat.
And that retreat is defensive. They're protecting themselves. That's why the whole content strategy has to be different. A message like, call now, affordable cremation, is asking them to spend money on something they wish they never had to think about.
Okay, so let's contrast that with the service message. What's the alternative? Well, instead, what if you post a guide on, say, how to help a grieving friend? Or maybe what to expect at a community memorial event? You're providing valuable, non-threatening expertise. You're helping them navigate the edges of grief without demanding they commit to a purchase.
You're placing a useful resource on their doorstep.
Exactly. They can pick it up when they're ready, maybe months or even years later, without feeling any pressure. That subtle shift from asking to providing is everything. And that is really the foundation of authority marketing.
Authority marketing isn't a new concept, of course, but applying it to death care seems, it has to be nuanced.
It does. But it directly addresses how the consumer journey has changed. We're in the age of the zero moment of truth. People research everything online before they ever contact a professional. And in death care, that window is short but incredibly intense. Families might spend 24 to 48 hours just researching online before they make a single phone call.
And that's where we find the silent researcher. I think that term just perfectly captures it. This is someone online at, say, 3 a.m, full of anxiety after a terminal diagnosis, feeling completely overwhelmed. They need answers, not a sales pitch.
And this is where so many firms just critically fail. If their website is just a pretty brochure with a big contact us button, you're forcing that silent researcher to call before they're emotionally ready. You failed them in that moment of need because you didn't give them the information they were looking for.
So the solution is to meet that anxiety with information. You replace the contact form with immediate, helpful content that anticipates their fears.
Precisely. It's educational content that basically acts as a consultation, but it's on their terms, not just a service list. It could be a short video explaining the actual breakdown of professional service fees, or blog post on 5 questions to ask when selecting an estate attorney. You're building a relationship based on trust before they even introduce themselves.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate for a second. I can hear directors thinking, I'm a funeral director, not a full-time blogger. How do you measure the ROI on content about, say, veterans benefits? How do you prove this strategy actually pays off?
That's the right question. And the payoff isn't immediate, but it is profound. This is what we call building a trust bank. Every piece of genuinely helpful content, a checklist for executor duties, an explanation of state laws, a guide on embalming myths, it's a deposit into that bank. It's quiet support provided over months or years.
And that long-term approach completely changes how a family searches for you.
Absolutely. When a loss does happen, they don't Google funeral homes near me. They search for your firm by name because that trust bank is full. They already feel loyal to the resource that's been silently helping them, and that completely removes you from the price shopping game.
That's the key difference, isn't it? Competing on price just makes you a commodity. But when you compete on education and service, you become a community pillar. And you don't shop around for a pillar, you just trust it.
And the data backs this up. Firms that make this shift see their cost per acquisition go way down because they're relying on pre-established trust, not aggressive advertising.
So let's talk about the most sensitive part of becoming that pillar. It's tackling public suspicion, this idea of a shroud of mystery around the profession. It leads to real anxiety about hidden fees, about being upsold during a crisis.
And education is the only antidote to suspicion. That brings us to radical transparency. This isn't just about FTC compliance. It's about explaining why things are the way they are. We see 3 main areas where this builds unbreakable trust.
Okay, let's break those down. First one, and the one that probably makes directors most nervous, pricing.
Right, pricing. Transparency here means explaining why professional service fees exist, what you families actually get for that. It covers maintaining staff 24/7, all the administrative work, the coordination. You're showing the value of your dedication and your labor.
The second area is demystifying the process. What happens once someone is in your care? This seems really delicate.
It is. It has to focus on dignity and care, not graphic details. A firm can communicate the rigid protocols and professionalism that guide everything behind the scenes. It'd be short, tasteful videos that highlight the clean facilities, the certified staff training. It's all about reassuring the family that their loved one is being cared for by qualified professionals.
So you're marketing your integrity, not the procedures. And the last area of transparency is about options.
That's right, the options. Firms have to openly discuss lower-cost alternatives, like direct cremation or green burial. And they have to do it proactively, without making it seem like a lesser choice.
But here's the big fear. Doesn't promoting low-cost options just cannibalize your higher-revenue traditional business?
It's an understandable fear, but it's short-sighted. The data suggests the opposite. Radical transparency gains trust, and trust is more valuable than short-term price control. Think about it. A family that trusts you completely because you showed them all the options is much more likely to see the value in a personalized celebration of life. It stops being an upsell and starts being a necessary investment in their own healing. You gain their loyalty.
So making them feel informed and respected is actually empowering, and it leads to better choices. Okay, let's make this practical. For the professionals listening, what are 3 simple, actionable steps they can take today to start shifting from sales to service?
Let's focus on things you can do right now to start filling that trust bank.
Number 1, solve the problems your community is already looking for answers to. This is the top 10 audit.
Yes. And don't guess. Do a formal audit of your arrangement room notes. Look at your website search data. Find the 5 or 10 questions you hear from every single family. Turn each of those answers about Social Security, what to wear, anything into a standalone piece of content. If 5 families asked you this month, hundreds more are Googling it.
That immediately makes you the local expert. Okay, step 2, support the supporters.
This is about the ecosystem of professionals around grieving families. Create content specifically for the helpers. Hospice nurses, social workers, clergy, estate attorneys. Give them tools that make their jobs easier. For a hospice nurse, maybe it's a guide on transfer paperwork. For an attorney, a 1-sheet on state requirements for death certificates.
You become their most valued referral partner by offering service upstream. I like that.
Exactly. And the third and maybe most important step, humanize the brand.
Because death care is so personal, but the branding can feel so cold and institutional.
Exactly. People want to be served by people, not a logo. Show your staff outside the arrangement room. Show them volunteering, getting certifications, just living in the community. When you step out from behind the suit, you build a real human connection. And in a moment of vulnerability, that's what families need. A compassionate human being, not just a home.
It really all comes down to empowerment, doesn't it? The modern family demands to feel informed and respected before they make that first difficult phone call.
The bottom line for the industry is this. Digital marketing is no longer about finding customers. It's about being found by people who already trust you. When you stop selling and start serving, you stop being just another vendor and you start becoming a permanent, respected fixture. That is the only way to secure your future.
A really compelling argument for moving away from crisis management and toward building a lasting community infrastructure.
So if educational content builds a trust bank, here's a final thought for you to take away. Think about all the crucial information your firm is currently not sharing, maybe out of habit or even fear. What is the one piece of that information that, if you made it radically transparent today, would eliminate the single biggest suspicion families have about our profession? That insight, once you share it, that's the content that truly earns you the title of community pillar.
Subscribe and like the Director's Corner podcast on your favorite platform to stay ahead of the curve. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode packed with actionable insights and innovative strategies designed specifically for your industry. Liking and sharing helps us reach more professionals like you, fostering a community dedicated to excellence in end-of-life care marketing. Let's transform how we connect with families together.